Chapter 28. What happened to Candide, Cunegonde, Pangloss, Martin, etc.? I beg you once again to forgive me, Reverend Father, for having driven my sword through you, Candide said to the Baron. Let us speak no more of it, the Baron replied. I admit I was a little too rash myself. But as you wish to know the circumstances that brought me to the galleys, I will tell you. After the brother apothecary of the Collegium healed my wound, I was attacked by a Spanish detachment and abducted. I was imprisoned in Buenos Aires, just after my sister had left. I asked to be allowed to return to the Father General in Rome. There, I was appointed to serve as almoner to the French ambassador in Constantinople. I had not been at my post for a week, when one evening I came across a very handsome young man from the Sultan's palace. It was very hot, and the young man wanted to bath. I seized the opportunity to bath too. I did not know that it was a capital offence for a Christian to be found naked with a young Muslim. A Cadi ordered that I be dealt 100 strokes with a stick on the soles of my feet, and sentenced to the galleys. But you, my dear Pangloss, Candide said, how can it be that I see you again? It is true that you saw me being hanged, Pangloss replied. According to custom, I ought to have been burned, but if you remember, there had been a downpour just as they were preparing to cook me. I was hanged, as that was the best they could do. A surgeon purchased my body, took me to his house, and dissected me. First, he made a cross-shaped incision from my navel to my clavicle. One could not have been hanged more poorly than I had been. The executor of the high offices of the Holy Inquisition, who was a wonderful expert at burning people, but was not accustomed to hanging. My rope was wet. It did not slide properly and became knotted. In short, I was still breathing. The cross-shaped incision made me utter such a loud cry that the surgeon fell over, and thinking that he was dissecting the devil, he ran away in mortal terror, falling down the stairs as he fled. With all the noise, his wife came running and saw me lying on the table with my cross-shaped incision. She was even more terrified than her husband, fled and tumbled over him. Finally, the surgeon took courage and sewed me up again. His wife even tended me. I was back on my feet in 2 weeks. The surgeon secured me a position of lackey to a knight of Malta who was going to Venice. But as my master could not pay me, I went into the service of a Venetian merchant and followed him to Constantinople. One day, it took my fancy to enter a mosque. There was only an old imam there with a very pretty young worshipper saying her paternosters. Her bosom was completely uncovered, and between her breasts there was a beautiful bouquet of flowers. She dropped her bouquet. I picked it up and put it back with respectful attentiveness. It took me so long that the Imam became angry and, seeing that I was a Christian, called for help. I was taken to the Candide, who ordered that I be dealt 100 strokes of a stick on the soles of my feet and sent to the galleys. I was chained in the same galley and on the same bench as his lordship the Baron. Well, my dear Pangloss, Candide said, after you were hanged, dissected, beaten black and blue, and had to row in the galleys, did you continue to believe that everything is for the best in the world? I am still of my former opinion, Pangloss replied, for I am a philosopher after all, and it would be improper for me to recant, as Leibniz cannot be wrong. Pre-established harmony is the most beautiful thing in the world.